Yes, a morning of pomp and pageantry, but all the political process that goes with it. Here in Westminster, King Charles delivering his first King's Speech, the first King's Speech in more than 70 years. All of that, of course, part of the state opening of Parliament. Now, the speech written by the government sets out the plans for the year ahead. Now, the proposed laws, they include things like tougher sentences for some crimes, a phased ban on smoking and more licensing for oil and gas fields in the North Sea. So to explain what we've heard so far and to begin our coverage this hour, let's hear from our political correspondent, Helen Catt.
Just before 11:15, the royal carriage drew into the sovereign's entrance, carrying, for the first time in 7 decades, a king to formally open Parliament. While the monarch had changed, the pageantry remained the same. As is tradition, Black Rod went to the Commons and had the door slammed shut against her by MPs. Before she summoned them to the Lords. On the way, the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition appeared to be having a friendly chat. But this speech, written by the government, was in part about drawing dividing lines between them ahead of an election. But first, the King acknowledged the significance of this moment.
It is mindful of a legacy of service and devotion to this country set by my beloved mother, the late Queen, that I deliver this, the first King's Speech, in over 70 years. The impact of COVID and the war in Ukraine have created significant long-term challenges for the United Kingdom. That is why my government's priority is to make the difficult but necessary long-term decisions to change this country for the better.
There was an announcement of a bill to issue annual extraction licences for oil and gas and a focus on crime, including previously announced measures.
My government will act to keep communities safe from crime, antisocial behaviour, terrorism and illegal migration. A bill will be brought forward to ensure tougher sentences for the most serious offenders and increase the confidence of victims.
There was a promise to make it easier for leasehold homeowners to buy their freeholds and to tackle service charges, and a return for the Renters Reform Bill, which was in the last Queen's Speech. There was also a measure which Rishi Sunak has set as a personal goal.
My government will introduce legislation to create a smoke-free generation by restricting the sale of tobacco so that children currently aged 14 or younger can never be sold cigarettes.
This King's Speech could be Mr Sunak's last chance to push through his agenda. Labour says the whole speech suggests the government has run out of ideas.
But this isn't a legislative programme for a year. We could get all of this done in a fortnight and then have a general election.
We haven't even talked about the Crime and Justice Bill, which is far from being a one-clause or two-clause bill, as Chris Bryant was erroneously suggesting. This is going to be a substantial piece of legislation setting out how we're going to protect
it's a load
the public.
Of gimmicks.
So nonsense.
The SNP thinks it sends the wrong message on oil and gas.
It's not working. There are real issues. The government needs to be clear that it is absolutely behind its climate change commitments and give confidence to the renewables industry.
The Liberal Democrats say there wasn't enough on the NHS or sewage and criticised the crime bills.
And on criminal justice, we know that system is creaking at the seams, but the government want to add more to it rather than necessarily helping the police and the criminal justice system more widely deliver. Frankly, it seems like they're waiting for a general election. Maybe they should just get on and deliver one.
This speech is certainly part of preparing the ground for that election, as well as setting out what MPs will be focusing on in the run-up. Helen Catt, BBC News, Westminster.